What's up, boss? You believe that? Hold on. Do you believe that? Please. Doubt y'all and ain't gonna be personal. You think I'm gonna let them naysay y'all and ain't gonna get personal?
Buff Nation, happy Tuesday. What's going on? Miss Jobs, I appreciate it. Shout out to my good friend Josh Bonnett. If you need any music made, link to his Instagram's in the description. I just saw he had a big placement on some college basketball or some college football bowl games last month. But anyways, he's awesome. And yeah, if y'all haven't checked out Rawhide Show last night, man, that was hilarious. Y'all be sure to tune in for that. That was so funny. And I have a really exciting bet going on with Coach Hayes. That should be a lot of fun. I'll talk about that here later. Shirley, what's going on? And hope you guys are having a great day. Really quick, wanted to have a shout out or give a shout out to Legend LX. I saw that he sent me a $15 super sticker, something like that, super gift, whatever it is. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You've been with me since I started this channel, so greatly appreciated. All right, let's go ahead and cut this music. We got a lot to talk about today. No breakdown yet of Shimon Mateer. That definitely can come soon, though. So, man, yeah, you guys get to see me kind of a little bit looser over at on Rawhide Show. That is for sure. So y'all go check that out and let me know, Scope Buffs Daily, whose Buffs birthdays we got today. But guys, I guess I'll open this up with a big apology to Pat Shurmur. And I guess it's like a 50% or 70% apology to Pat Shurmur. Again, I said a few months ago, who would ever want to come here and play for Pat Shurmur? Guys aren't coming here to play for Pat Shurmur. There's no way, right? Well, I'm thankfully I am being proved wrong as we speak. This is awesome. Let me go ahead and find this. Thanks to one of my good friends on Twitter, Flash, tagging me in this, saying, who knew Shurmur would have an impact on a recruit, right? Because I sure didn't believe it. And no Sco Zone, again, shout out to them. If you're not following them, what are you doing? But I'll read this. Colorado recruiting update. Julian Lewis has visited Colorado last month and reported that his visit went really well. He enjoyed Coach Prime's enthusiasm and energy, but a major impact on him was the fact that Pat Shurmur was named Colorado's OC. USC is clearly in the lead for the star quarterback. However, in his own words, I still feel really good about USC and my commitment, but things change so fast in college football these days. So you want to keep relationships and take visits. Yes. Here's Julian Lewis. And here's this little quote that he gave on 3. What had an impact on me with Colorado was Coach Shurmur being named the offensive coordinator. To have a chance to play for a guy that has 20 plus years of NFL experience stands out. To have a chance to play for and be developed by a guy with that experience has Colorado on the list. Coach Prime has great energy too, and the visit went really well. Man, I love to hear that. And this is probably a topic for another day, but Deuce Knight is another top quarterback in the 25 class that we're now also going after. And he mentioned in an interview, this might have been with On3 as well, I'm trying to remember, but he was saying that, hey, this pro type of development that Pat Shurmur can have at Colorado, that Coach Beamer or Beeman, is it Beamer over at South Carolina, kind of has that, type of narrative too. Like come to South Carolina, we'll develop you for the pros. I mean, you saw the jumps that Spencer Rattler made during his time over there, playing a little bit more pro style. And yeah, I think that this is something that is going to be one of our calling cards when it comes to recruiting. It's come here, get developed by NFL guys. And I love it. I love it. So I'm eating a little bit of crow today. I love to see it. Hopefully I can eat 100% crow when we sign one of these guys, right? But it's great to see that Pat Shurmur is having a positive effect on the recruiting, and maybe this, he's kind of found a second career for himself here in college football. We'll see. Which brings me to wanting to talk about all the coaching contracts. Okay, guys. Few thoughts on this, but I'll read this again. Credit to Brian Howell of Buff Zone putting this together. The 10 full-time assistant coaches will make a combined $4.65 million in base and supplemental salary per the contract details obtained by Buff Zone. That's slightly higher than the previous record of the $4.59 million last year, although less than what it would have been had the 23 staff stayed intact for this year. Makes sense. All right. But let's talk about this. Pat Shurmur signed a 2-year deal worth $1.65 million. Okay. So he signed through 25. He will be paid $800,000 this year and then $850K in 2025. He replaces Sean Lewis, who is slated to make $900,000 this year had he stayed. And then we also have Robert Livingston, who signed for the next 2 years as well, signed for $1.795 million, so a little bit more than Pat Shurmur. He's slated to make $800,000 this year, and then just a hair under $1 million in 2025, which would be a single season record for a CU assistant. The current record is 850 salaries for Sean Lewis and Charles Kelly. Like Lewis, Kelly was also slated to make $900,000 this year, but he left to go to Auburn. Jason Phillips also signed a 2-year deal that will pay him a little over $300K. That's wonderful. And then $3.4K or $340K in 2025. But Brett Bartolone got a little bit of a raise to $400K this year as well. Vincent Dancy, Coach Dancy, signed a 2-year contract that will pay him $350K and then $375K. Now, this is interesting to me. Phil Oldholt, the new offensive line coach, signed a 1-year contract worth $325K. He's replacing Bill. None of my guys know their assignments. O'Boyle, who left the Buffs originally to join Lewis at SDSU, but ultimately took the job at Northwestern last month. And then lastly, we have a handful of guys that are going into their final season of their 2-year deals. That is Coach Flea, running backs, and assistant head coach, Coach Andre Hart with the linebackers, Kevin Mathis with the cornerbacks, and Sal Sinceri. This is pretty interesting with the defensive line. So I'm guessing right now we can expect Sal to continue to hold that defensive line coach slot while we have Warren Sapp there as a GA and Damian Lewis as an analyst coming over here from the Seahawks. So that's great. But I thought this was pretty interesting with Phil Oldholt. I guess you could kind of look at this as a 1-year prove-it deal. Hey, if the offensive line takes a substantial jump this year, he's probably in for a significant raise again. And that might have been negotiated on his part. Again, this is all me just speculating, but some of the best offensive line coaches, they're paid close to what our coordinators are making this year, if not more. Some of the best offensive line coaches in college football are paid, a little over $1 million. So if Phil Oldholt really turns around this offensive line, we're able to get some more recruits as well. I could see him getting a significant pay bump because this is something that we need. We need to keep this intact, this offensive line, if it's going to continue to develop and improve. And I'm wondering, do we have any other analysts that work on the offensive line? I'm curious. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but hopefully we bring in some other guys to work with the offensive line so we can kind of get that coaching pipeline developed just in case we have somebody like Phil Oldholt get a big time promotion, jumps to one of those big time programs or goes off to the NFL. We'll just have to see. But I'm hoping, even though this is a 1-year contract, we're able to keep him long term. So those are some of the things that I wanted to update y'all with. I think there was one more bookmark that I had saved. Oh, yeah, that's right. With no SCO zone. Talking about, Deuce Knight has Colorado here in his unofficial top 5. Right now committed to Notre Dame, but Alabama, Ole Miss, he's from Mississippi, South Carolina and Colorado are all in the mix. And left-handed quarterback, this guy, he's already 6'4.5", has great size. He says he sees a lot of his game with Shurmur Sanders, and thinks that he could potentially be a really good fit for replacing him here in the future. So, man, I love it. I love to see that we're in the mix for some of these top quarterbacks. And I think as long as CU takes another jump this year with getting wins, with having better results, all of that, we'll see CU land one of these top quarterbacks for the class of 2025, which I think that would be great. So anyways, I will get to some of your comments here. Let's see. Eric Morris, good to see you. Yeah, Pat Shurmur might be that secret weapon, and I never would have thought that. So I'll be the first to tell you that I was wrong. If we're able to land one of these guys, right? I love to see that Pat Shurmur is having conversations with these guys, that it seems like he's in this for the future at Colorado. So I've always kind of theorized that he would be here for just Shador's tenure here, but hey, signing a 2-year deal, that's great. Would love to see him stay through these next 2 years if all goes well, and then hopefully re-sign him again for the long haul. That would be nice to have some long-term continuity with the coaching staff, especially with a head coach and an offensive coordinator, right? Zion, yeah. Seems like he's proven me wrong for being a magnet for some of these high-end quarterbacks. So we got Caleb Mathis, Levante Bentley. Happy birthday to you both. And Pelote, right? The long snapper. Biggs, what's good? And Zion, you're absolutely right. I was one of Pat Shurmur's biggest haters, no doubt. I was talking all sorts of smack. We'll see what happens, but I apologize, Pat Shurmur. I apologize, man. I didn't think that you were going to take the recruiting seriously. It seems like he's definitely invested in it. I got to eat my crow on that. I got to. But if y'all don't think we're going to throw this thing all around the field next year, y'all are wrong. Pat Shurmur loves to throw the ball when he's got some arm talent behind center. And I'm fine with the prove-it deal for Oldholt, if that's the case, no doubt. I am Alex, one of my good friends. Good to see you. Do you think the at-large bids are dumb for the new playoff format? Yeah, it just got switched to 5 and 7. So what does that mean? The 5 conference winners of the top 5 conferences will get automatic bids into the college football playoff, which leaves 7 spots for the next highest ranked teams. So what normally that sounds okay, right? Power 5, all the Power 5 conference winners get an automatic bid. The issue with this now is that we're a Power 4, and we're essentially giving the best G5 conference winner an automatic bid into the college football playoff tournament every year, which I think is dumb. I think that's totally dumb. It should be a 4 and 8, and let's just figure that out. But Most likely, what's going to happen, in my opinion, throughout the length of this tournament, as structured, is that G5 team, they're going to get blown out in the second round or in the first round whenever they're facing a top 15 team from a Power 4 conference. I think that whole thing is totally dumb, and we're going to have to be talking about, okay, should Washington State or San Diego State, who else is there? UNLV, Liberty, Oregon State, right? Should these guys be getting in over another Power 4 team? I'm not too thrilled about that, but at least we'll have 11 teams that I feel like will definitely be deserving of being in there. And we'll have something to argue about if that one team left out from the Power 4 conference should be in there instead of whoever this best G5 team is. I wish that we could really change the structure of that. But Alex, I wouldn't say that Colorado has no chance to get one of those 6 spots. I don't think that's true, but I do think conferences like the SEC and Big Ten will get more teams in compared to the Big 12. I think it's guaranteed, of course, that the Big 12 will get one, but depending on how the rest of the conference is, they could get 2 or 3 if they have a strong year, but we'll see. Nicholas Braxton, thank you for this. Gunner is an offensive line analyst. I'll need to look into him. Thank you for that. All right, going through a few more comments. Chris Milton, what's up? Nicholas Braxton, I think this will be the best offense Pat Shurmur has had since the Vikings. Shedeur fits the West Coast offense like a glove. He has plenty of weapons. If the line holds up, they will be good. Thank you for this. Yes, yes, yes. Let's get Shedeur operating within his strengths. And I think that the more we talk about this, the more I've had time to digest this whole pairing. I like it more and more and more. I agree with you, Nicholas. Man, Rawhide, we need to do a show, man. Pat Shurmur, I don't apologize. Pat Shurmur, not a believer. Oh, man, those are fighting words, Rawhide. But hey, Rawhide, do you think the offense will look better than this past year? Right? I mean, we got to at least see an improvement. Now, if Rawhide and I do disagree on kind of how the structure of this offense will be a little bit. And I think that's worth debating for the next however many months before we actually get to the regular season. But Maestro, this is really great. I'm late, but do you think Shedeur will get the ball out as quick as Staub did in that Utah game? That is my hope. Now, I don't have any coaches tape on anything after UCLA right now. And I want to see what the hell was going on in that Wazoo game, right? Because Pat Shurmur was also calling that game out there. So we'll have to see. But my hope is, yes, that we have quicker developing pass plays. We're doing that a lot more to not only protect Shedeur, but also not have to rely on this offensive line and ask this offensive line to block for 4, 5, 6 seconds every single drop back. East Coast Kev, appreciate the shout out or the super chat. Thank you very much. Arizona will regret using us for their homecoming game. By the way, mod me up. I think I'm good for it. All right, East Coast Kev. I'll do that. I'll mod you up. I appreciate it. And again, my whole thing is, let people speak their piece, even if they're trolling, just as long as they're not name calling or saying racist or harassing or hateful remarks. But let me get on my YouTube app and do this right now, man. I appreciate the $5 super chat. But yes, guys, the Arizona Wildcats scheduled us for homecoming. What is up with that? Talk about taking a shot at us, right? We got to make them pay for that. Now, I still think Arizona is going to be very good. I think that they'll still be one of the better teams in the conference, but they're missing Jonah Coleman now. I'm not sure who they have in at running back to replace them, so we'll just have to see. But with him gone, I think that's going to be a tough position to replace because Jonah Coleman made that whole thing run. All right. Think we're there, East Coast Kev. Appreciate it, man. Let's see here. What else we got? Innocent Jet Ski. Cool name. Good title. Hey, thanks. I'm trying to do a little bit better with the thumbnails and the titles and all of that. But seeing some more audibles from Shurmur, I would like to see him having more agency at the line. I think, again, one of Shurmur's greatest assets is his brain, okay? And when you're allowed to use your brain to get your team into the right play, that can make up for a multitude of deficiencies elsewhere, not only with yourself, but on the team. One of the biggest examples I want you guys to make note of, being a Broncos fan, is 2015 Peyton Manning. That guy had numbness in his hands. He couldn't feel his fingertips. He was breaking down, all of that at 38 years old or whatever he was. And that offense in Denver was not amazing. It was not the 2012 or the 2013 Broncos offense, but Peyton Manning's brain was still as sharp as ever. Once he came back from that serious ankle injury, he was ready to roll. He got that offense in the right play every single time, or more often than not. Nobody's perfect. That's what we need. We need somebody to make sure that, hey, when we have a favorable box, we're checking into a run play. When the box is stacked, we're doing it different. East Coast Cav, appreciate it again. Ooh, this is an interesting topic. Who replaces Shurmur when he leaves? My money is on Walter Taylor. Man, okay, so this is kind of how I see the 2025 starting quarterback room going. So I think we'll probably have a bridge guy. Okay. I was hoping, I think the original plan was, for instance, with Antoine Hill, this was reported that he was planning to reclassify and come here next year. Things changed with that. He ended up decommitting and wants to play out the recruiting process through his normal high school tenure that's remaining. That's fine. I think if you would have seen a top quarterback from this past year commit to us, you would have seen them kind of doing the Quinn Ewers thing, taking that redshirt year as, a high school senior aged player, and then that next year becoming the starter when they're, the true age of a normal college freshman, right? I think that this year, or in 2025 right now, we'll bring in one of those blue chip quarterbacks, but I don't think that it's necessarily something that we can expect for them to be the day one starter. And so I think right now, the group that we got with Walter Taylor, Ryan Staub, and Destin Wade, one of those guys is going to have the first shot at becoming that starter for that first year. Of course, probably with a somewhat of a short leash when you got that, high-end 4-star, 5-star quarterback sitting on the bench getting ready, right? Right. So I really like Walter Taylor's dual threat ability. Obviously 6'7", like 250 pounds, a total tank. There's a reason why some guys call him Baby Cam, okay? Because this guy can truck guys, and it would be kind of a different offense to run with Walter Taylor. We'll see how much he develops as a passer while he's here. Again, we didn't get to see much of him at Vanderbilt, but I like, when you're talking about a raw skill set, he's the guy that I feel like has the highest ceiling out of all the other guys that we have. Now, I've commented on Ryan Staub, for instance, saying I don't think that he's a long-time starter here at Colorado, and I feel like if he has an opportunity to start at another college somewhere, whether that's at the G5 level or something like that, he should totally take that and do that. I think that one thing that's going in Ryan Staub's favor is that as long as Pat Shurmur sticks around for the length of his contract, Ryan Staub's going to be in the system longer than anybody else, and I think that could serve him well. Now, does he have only maybe a few months advantage to working with Pat Shurmur than Destin Wade and Walter Taylor? Sure. And I don't really know what to expect from Destin Wade. He's probably the guy that I've watched the least amount of right now, but I do like that he's 6'4". I like those tall quarterbacks. 4-star guy out of high school. Had a bad bowl game, but we can dive into that at a later point this offseason on why that was. I mean, I didn't think he even was preparing as the starter until like the day or two before, and whatever. But I do like Walter Taylor's ceiling the highest in that group right now. I wouldn't be surprised if any of those guys, are kind of that starter going into 2025. But I do think whether it's Taylor, Staub, Wade, they will have a little bit shorter of a leash than maybe some other starting quarterbacks within the conference or high-end college football, because you do have it. My hope is that you do have a really sought after, hyped up freshman quarterback coming in here that just needs a little bit more time to get ready before they start balling. Chris E, is the Big 12 experimenting? Are the Big 12 experimenting with helmet audio? Would they have it this season? I haven't looked into this, but this is something that I've wanted to comment on, Chris, is that, my goodness, it's 2024. We have to have audio in the quarterback's helmets. Even though I don't care about the sign stealing and all that with Michigan, whatever, it's so stupid the fact that we got to have signs on both offense and defense. Guys, it's 2024. We all have access to this technology. It's not anything crazy. If we're wanting to prepare guys for the NFL the best, and if you're looking at it from a conference perspective, maybe something that we can implement faster than the SEC or the Big 10, let's put the audio in a defensive player's helmet, whether that's a linebacker, safety, whatever, and let's put the audio in the helmet of the quarterback just so we can have the play calls done that way. And I think it'd be kind of interesting because you would see more. I think you would see more of teams huddle a little bit more, just like in the pros, because you got that play call coming into the helmet. You guys know what I'm saying. What is this? That's because you don't know ball, or you're just a Broncos fan who's mad about one season with a trash team. Pat's history is much more extensive than the Broncos, bro. He probably feels the same. What are you saying? What are you saying, innocent jet ski? I don't know who you're in conversation with, whether that's me or somebody else, but you gotta be more specific than that. Steve G. David, where do you see the soft spots in the Colorado offense? Right now, at the tackle position, I still feel like I would like to see another tackle brought in. Of course, I think long term we're getting there. Of course, Jordan Seaton's going to be a cornerstone left tackle for us, but it would be nice to have a little bit more proven talent there at the power 4 level, just in case, Jordan Seaton needs a little bit more time to get comfortable. Right now, I think it's going to be a very close competition between Khalil Benson and Savion Washington for that right tackle starting spot. And both of those guys do seem to have, some glaring deficiencies at that position. I think that both of them, it's kind of funny because I think their strengths are both kind of opposite of each other. And we'll have to see if a guy like David Connor can really make that jump after healing from that pectoral tear injury. We'll have to see the transfer that we brought in from FIU. His name is skipping my mind right now. I'm trying to think. But that's kind of where I see the soft spot right now in the Colorado offense, along with tight end. We got Luis Passarello, who I like. We just didn't get to see last year because of injury. And then we got Shimon Mateer, who I think is going to be a good tight end for us. I don't know if we have right now. I mean, this is obvious stuff. We don't have like a Sanders on Texas at tight end right now, or a Bowers at Georgia, right? I think we do have a good tight end in Mateer, but it would be nice to see us bring in some more game-changing athletes at the tight end position. And then I think at running back right now, our depth is okay. All four guys that we have on scholarship that kind of have a little bit different of a skill set. If we have one injury, that's when things start feeling a little thin. And we don't necessarily have a guy that can replace the type of running back another running back is. So, for instance, if Dylan Edwards goes down, do we have another guy that kind of functions as that lightning type of back, that Alvin Kamara sort, or I don't know, maybe Eckler, right? Those probably aren't the most accurate comps, but y'all get what I'm saying. Or if McCaskill goes down, do we have another guy that can serve as kind of that all-purpose 3-down back? Michael Welsh, I think, is very interesting coming in here as an early enrollee freshman. I mean, he already looks like he has the body for college football, which is great. But what I would prefer is for us not to have to rely on true freshmen in any meaningful way their first year. Don't put too much on their plate. And if they're not ready but have to be ready because of injury, it is what it is, but it's not something that I prefer, So I would love for us to bring in another running back that truly has like game-breaking ability, like McCaskill, or like we've seen in the passing game with Dylan Edwards. I don't really think Savion Wilkerson gives us that game-changing ability, and so it would be nice to have another one. So that's what I would say. But I feel like we're good at quarterback, obviously. We're good at the interior line. I feel pretty good about that right now with the adjustments that we've made there. And with wide receiver, I feel great about where our wide receiver group is. So I would say right tackle. I would say running back and tight end. East Coast Kev, appreciate the super chat again, man. What do you think of Bill Goldberg's son coming? I saw his highlights. If you don't start, I think he'll get playing time. I'm really pumped to see Gage Goldberg coming here. It's just hard for me to put, honestly, any sort of expectation right now for any true freshman, really a scholarship true freshman, to come on here and contribute in meaningful ways this year, let alone a preferred walk-on true freshman. So I think that he's somebody that I could see him developing into a great, like a Nate Landman type inside linebacker for us. I love Nate Landman. He was one of the few guys on the defense, the last handful of years at CU that was really an impactful player. And you've seen him as an undrafted free agent now become an impactful player for the Atlanta Falcons. I do think that he needs to improve on just his quickness, agility, lateral speed, all of that. Didn't play at the highest level when it comes to Texas high school football. I think he was playing 3 or 4A, which, I mean, that's still better than that might still be more competitive than most Colorado football out here, So I don't think, though, that he is somebody that we should expect to be playing any meaningful role on our defense right now. But who's to say that he doesn't start off being a great special teams player? I mean, I don't really know outside of the fact that our special teams was terrible last year. So it would be really nice to just get new players in there that hopefully can do those jobs better than the guys that we had doing it last year. Absolutely. But right now, I'm not going to come out expecting any preferred walk-on to play meaningful snaps. I think probably the only preferred walk-on that we saw take meaningful snaps this past year at one of these positions like linebacker or, not like kicker related, I guess would be Caleb Mathis. And even he didn't get much time. And that was, in my opinion, I only think he got time later in the year just because our slot guys were banged up. Jimmy was banged up. Dawson was out through the second half of the season due to a concussion, I believe. So, yeah, maybe he can work his way up to like a third or fourth string for us and play due to injury. But hopefully we don't deal with injury like that. Yo, Creo, this is another great point. I always keep forgetting this, is with Draylon Miller, he's the type of guy that fits that Deebo Samuel, Laviska Shenault type of mold, a guy that can play outside wide receiver, that once he has the ball in his hands, he really sounds like a running back, or looks like a running back, sorry. And he can line up in the backfield, take handoffs, take jet sweeps, all of that. He's a guy that can do really anything that you need on the offensive side of the ball. So that'd be a really cool idea, Yo Creo, to see Draylon get those snaps at the running back position. And maybe we might see him used more than what I expect right now. Because I always forget that he can play running back as well. He would fit that mold as an athlete, as another like game-changing type of athlete back there, like Dylan Edwards and Alton McCaskill. So that might be the third guy. Very good point. Buffs News Weekly. Y'all go subscribe to him. I think he's trying to get to 300 subs. Come on now, help my friend out. Russ, thank you for your time and for this question. Did you chat about Sal Sinceri's raise? Looks like he's eventually coming back. I just touched on it very briefly. I didn't even touch on the fact that he got a raise. So, yes, that's good to see that he's coming back, and I hope that he's recovering from his surgery or whatever he had. Well, we need him back. Brady B. Dave, did you see the number one safety, Fahim Delane, is visiting for the spring game? Doesn't mean much, but it's still a big visit. Yeah, that's the way to look at it. Like, this whole thing is awesome. Coming out here for the spring game. The groundhog told us we're not going to get any of those snowstorms. Late April now. So the weather should be great, guys. And it's going to be a whole Prime weekend. That's what Coach Prime has said. So I think the more visits that we have out here during the spring game is wonderful. This is a great time to visit, and I really hope that he enjoys his time here. We will need to replenish our safety group after this year. We got Cameron Silman Craig, Miles Slusher, I believe. I think he's out of eligibility. I'm trying to remember. Shiloh, of course. Maybe Slusher sticks around another year, but guys that I think right now I would project to be those starting safeties in 2025, probably going to be Jane Milner-Jones and Carter Stoutmeyer. It'd be nice to have some more competition, depth, and talent there at the safety position. Already at 300 subs, path to 1,000. Let's go. And I think now the monetization model kicks in at 500 subs. So let's go ahead and get Russ in there. Most definitely, y'all. Okay, let's see if we got any more comments here. Slusher has 2 years. Thank you for that. Carpet Tech, good to see you, man. He's saying at safety, Shiloh and Woods. Yeah, I haven't really been talking too much about Trevor Woods just because I'm expecting him to. This isn't from anything I've heard. This is just probably what I would do if I were in his shoes, is just transfer somewhere else where they need a starting safety. I don't know if it's a given that he starts at safety this year. Right now, I would put Cameron Silman-Craig back in that free safety spot. And I guess we'll see. Like, if Trevor wants to fully make that transition to linebacker, maybe bulk up a little bit, having a full offseason to prepare, I think we could see better production from him this year at that position. What didn't serve him well at all was just moving him to linebacker halfway through the season because nobody else in that room was ready. You did him a total disservice. So, and it just didn't look good. But I think it's in the best interest for Trevor Woods to probably stay at safety and probably move on to another school in which he can slot in and start. I mean, he's been a starter through the majority of his college football career right now. I just don't know if he's the right fit right now for what we need on defense. Granted, he could surprise at linebacker. I just don't really know what to expect from him at linebacker. But right now, I think our best two safeties are Shiloh and Cameron Silman-Craig, and I would have both of those guys back there. And yeah, I feel like we're also a little bit split on Miles Slusher. I just don't really know what to think or expect much from Miles Slusher this past year. We didn't see a lot of him, and Cameron Silman-Craig kind of took his starting spot in the slot at the star position this past year. So I don't know if Cameron Silman-Craig moves back to that free safety position. Do we see Miles Slusher starting at more of the star, that hybrid safety linebacker position that could fit him well, and maybe fit him better than how it kind of fit Trevor Woods in some sense. But I also really like Jaden Milner-Jones. I think that we're going to see him take another jump this year. And I think Carter Stoutmeyer is better suited for this safety position, probably already being 200, 210 pounds already. So, hey, appreciate you chiming in, Carpet Tech. Always good to see you. All right, guys, I'm going to shut this thing down. Sorry I didn't get to some of your other questions and comments, but I appreciate you guys rolling with me. Really fun announcement. Adam Munster-Tiger and I are going to be collaborating on a show tomorrow at 12:30 Mountain Time. So you'll see that live stream come through. Hit that bell notification to be reminded of it. But yes, we're going to be doing a mailbag episode tomorrow. So come with some of your questions. I think he'll be coming with some questions from some of the guys over at Buff Stampede as well. So should be a really fun episode for 30, 45 minutes. Y'all be sure to check in tomorrow for episode 2 of my collaboration with Adam Munster-Tiger from Buff Stampede. So appreciate you guys as always. I'll be back tomorrow or later today if I get some more time. We'll just have to see. Again, big shout out to East Coast Kev. Appreciate it for all the love, all the super chats, all that. Y'all have a wonderful day. Go Buffs.